Hello and welcome to Odds on Champions League match day 3. We are back with our favorite competition and with great games. Barcelona, Bayern Munich, for instance, in this show. Hello, 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐿. Welcome
Hello.
back. Hello, Alvaro, Romeo. Great games, but of course,
Hello.
I think must highlight this game in Montjuic, Flick and Lewandowski against Bayern Munich, the Black Beast of Barcelona. So, guys, stay with us. Of course, post your comments, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And we have two early kickoffs on Wednesday. Atalanta Celtic is the first one. I kind of like the odds for Atalanta because 𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐿, of course, is following closely Serie A and they arrive in the best moment of the season. Another win in Venezia. Beautiful goal again. Scored by Retegui, the second one. They are coming also in the Champions League with good results. 3-0 against Shakhtar, a draw against Arsenal, and seeing how weak this Celtic is away historically and with the 7-1 in Dortmund, Leo, I expect a high scoring game and I expect Atalanta to win comfortably.
Yes, I expect the same, to be honest with you. It's incredible that a team that won 5-1 on match day 1 arrives to match day 3 with a -2 differential goal. But that is the reality of Celtic in Europe. There was some cautious optimism for Celtic after starting the season with 9 straight victories in all competitions, but the gulf in quality with the top European sides is huge, and maybe shouldn't come as a surprise. And when you also combine that with extreme ingenuity and a lack of concentration, well, then you go home with thrashing results like the one in Dortmund. It is nothing new also under Brendan Rodgers because Celtic heaviest defeat in European football remains a 7-0 loss against Barcelona during Brendan Rodgers' first spell in charge. He also suffered a 7-1 defeat against PSG, a 6-0 defeat to Atlético Madrid as well. And 𝐬𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐿 scored the first one in Dortmund in the 7th minute, but before that, 𝐜𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴 could have scored already 2. So that's the story of Celtic playing away mostly so far in the Champions League. Of course, not every single game where Celtic is involved, the opposition will punish them in every single mistake they made. But the core problem there is the easy way, I believe, almost amateurish way in which they give the ball away many times. The weekend for Celtic wasn't particularly good, although they face Aberdeen, who is top of the league with them. They have thrown and a 2-0 away lead, showing defensive lapses again. So now comes Atalanta, who we know how free scoring side they are. They have collected 4 points out of 6 already in this Champions League. A win on Wednesday could leave them at the door of what everyone thinks is needed to get a playoff place. So that should encourage Atalanta, I believe, to get a grip on the game from the very start. They have scored 10 goals in the last 3 matches. They have lost only 2 of their last 16 games in UEFA competitions. So for me, it's clear here, Atalanta to win and goals over 1.5, to take the odds a little bit higher, 1.7.
I'm completely on the same page. Atalanta, we were mentioning it, Alvaro, they had some issues in the summer, injuries, a lot of turnover with the managers, but year after year, Gasperini is a very successful manager. Atalanta is growing, and we are seeing a good Atalanta at the moment in the season.
Good Atalanta, yes. I feel the odds for them are obviously not tremendously money-making, because Atalanta to win pays 148, which could be considered some sort of a safe bet. In my case, I'm going to go for an Asian handicap -1 for Atalanta, which puts you in the region of 170, which is more than fine, I will say. Atalanta, as Leo broke down, I mean, they've got 4 points in the Champions League. They haven't conceded yet because against Arsenal they didn't, and against Shakhtar they kept another clean sheet. I think that they could have beaten Arsenal as well. Then in the Champions League or in UEFA matches in general, they've been pretty reliable as of late. Not only the Champions League, but if you combine Europa League and Champions League together, they have lost 2 of their last 16 UEFA games, which is okay. And yes, I am totally aware that there is a little bit of an injury crisis in there right now. Not only 𝐿𝐿𝐴, who was lost for the remainder of the season with a very bad injury, but even this weekend, a few players were limping, tired after the international break. The likes of Ademola Lookman couldn't play more than only a half. But I hope that a few players are recovered because Atalanta will need their best players for this game. 𝐬𝐿𝐴 has had a terrific season, so him to score could be a good bet here because he has scored 8 in 11 games. And then I focus on Celtic on the road. I mean, Celtic on the road in the Champions League, they are really poor. The last time they got a group stage win away was against Anderlecht in 2017, long time ago. But normally they tend to crumble in this type of stadia, in this type of games. And I am totally aware that they are capable of scoring. For example, in the Scottish Premiership, which is obviously a lesser competition, they have scored in their last 17 games. So there is goals in them. We have seen it in the Champions League. Even when they lost heavily one game, they managed to score at least 1 goal against Dortmund. But yeah, Asian handicap -1 for Atalanta, to me, looks like the best value.
And also, just to add what Alvaro said about 𝐬𝐿𝐴 to score anytime, odds of 2, not bad.
Not bad. The second goal was a beauty, the one he scored in Venezia. Next one, also early kickoff, Brest, Leverkusen. Here I could be a little bit more cautious. Same odds for Leverkusen to win away. Our friend Alain Valnegri said, yeah, Brest 6 points in the Champions League, but they faced Salzburg and Stuttgart. We have to take it with a pinch of salt. They are 11th in the league. And but also this Leverkusen, Alvaro, they look easy to punish or easier to punish than last season. They suffered again a lot against Frankfurt. Also, Frankfurt are doing great things in the Bundesliga. They won. Boniface scored the winner after missing a penalty. And to be honest, they've been perfect in this Champions League, beating Milan, beating Feyenoord, 0 goals conceded. So perhaps it's also kind of a safe bet, but I would take this with a pinch of salt because they are playing away, only because of that.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to put that little pinch of salt. I'm going to season my bet with, for example, Asian handicap -0.25 for them in the first half. That pays 165 in the first half, by the way. Let's not forget that in the Champions League, they have come out really strong from the very beginning of the game. And this has been a trademark of them in the Champions League so far, trying to win the game as easy or as quick as possible. And Leverkusen, so far, they've been a good force in the Champions League. Obviously, maybe replicating last season was always going to be impossible. This season, they have already suffered 1 defeat. But there are some numbers that tell you that Leverkusen are still a very good side, if not a potent side. Number 1, they are the side with the most shots in the Bundesliga. Their passing accuracy is similar to last seasons, and they use a new tweak this season to change a little bit the style of play, which is using Boniface with long balls. At the end of the day, this striker is 6.3 and he can make a difference in the aerial battles. Then Jonathan Tah is still helping the build-up with his impressive passing accuracy. Grimaldo, I mean, he's producing over the 25% of his team's crosses, and Bayer Leverkusen is a team that crosses the ball a lot. They are unbeaten in the Champions League. And they are unbeaten in the Champions League playing with a style. I would say that Leverkusen is still trying to keep the trademark style that made them very, very easy to watch and nice to watch last season. When it comes to Brest, yes, they are impressively second in the league table of the Champions League, yes. But their opponents have been kind of easy so far. And there are always surprises in the Champions League. Maybe getting 3 or 4 more points, Brest can qualify for the next stage. But I think that genuinely believe that Leverkusen is a better side. And, you have to check the numbers of Brest in the French league to see that, they are struggling a little bit. 11th in the competition so far, only 10 points. So, nothing that tells me that Leverkusen shouldn't be considered the favorite here, as the bookies do. So I'm going to go for the following. Either Leverkusen to win the first half, because as I say again, Leverkusen's storms into the games, 2.0, or Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Leverkusen in the first half, 165.
Leo, similar odds, this Atalanta to win or Leverkusen to win. Would you take them as well? Full trust on Xabi Alonso's men, by the way, both teams with 6 points on top of these standings.
Yes, my full trust is on Leverkusen. I will go as well for the Asian handicap market minus for Leverkusen. At the same time, of course, for Brest, the job is done. To arrive here with 6 points out of 6 is invaluable for them. And when you add to the mix that they still have to play Sparta Prague, PSV, Shakhtar Donetsk, a playoff spot is just there. It's just touching distance for them. The weekend saw them losing points against Ran in a game they were winning, and Ran equalized with 4 minutes to go, I believe, but they were missing 3 or 4 key players for them. I think they were keeping them for the game with Leverkusen now on Wednesday. It's true they're 11th in the Ligue 1, but at the same time, this double competition is proving to be tough for them, and the Champions League spot within the Ligue 1 is only 4 points away from them at the moment. But yes, Leverkusen is a completely different challenge, one which I don't think they're going to be able to match. Against Stuttgart on Saturday, Leverkusen were brilliant at times. Yes, maybe they're a little bit more wobbly at the back, but when they have the ball at their feet, they are super enjoyable to watch. Boniface already 7 goals in all competitions. If he stays injury-free, there is nothing that should stop him from scoring maybe 21 goals or more like last season. Yes, sometimes it seems that this Leverkusen or this season, they need a wake-up call, falling from winning often from behind. It happened again on Saturday against Frankfurt, but Robert Andrich equalizer was a beautiful team goal, a move that Andrich started and Andrich finished. Andrich and 𝐿 Xhaka in the double pivot is becoming one of my favorites double six. I think that thanks to Arteta, 𝐿 Xhaka left Arsenal a better player than he was when he arrived. And now under Xabi Alonso, he's being taken to another level. On Matchday 2 with Milan, the first half or the first 55 minutes for Leverkusen was, again, a great to watch. But after Boniface scored, they dropped the level, and Milan had actually 3 or 4 chances to equalize on the game. And you could see, I remember seeing a face of relief from Xabi Alonso when the game finished, but because he knew they were in a bit of trouble. But I don't think this Brest is going to put them in that kind of trouble. So for me, Asian handicap minus 1.25 for Leverkusen, odds close to 2.1. If they win by 2 goals, you win. If they win by 1 goal margin, you lose half of your stake.
Great goal, that one, the first one scored by Leverkusen, futsal style. Next game, Atlético de Madrid, Lille, another good game. Atlético de Madrid suffered a massive defeat, 4-0, destroyed by Benfica. They suffered a lot to beat RB Leipzig in match day 1, and they are suffering again and again in La Liga. They won at the weekend against Leganés. Even Simeone's son was helping the team. He gave an assist to Griezmann, but the team is not playing well, and Lille could be dangerous, as they showed, Leo, in the draw against Monaco in the Louis II, or that great win against Real Madrid, win 1-0 at home. But it's true that also in Ligue 1 and in Europe, Lille, they play way worse when they travel.
Yeah, and to be honest, because of course you mentioned that amazing win against Real Madrid on Matchday 2, I think there are still some fans of Lille who haven't returned home since that night of the 2nd of October. They ended as well a 36 unbeaten run from Madrid. It had to be Jonathan David, the one to score. He's done it from the penalty spot. Sorry, he was full of confidence on that game after coming from a weekend in which he scored a hat-trick. This weekend for Lille, it was not as good as the one before facing Real Madrid. Although not too bad, because they played away against Monaco and they came up with a 0 draw. Although they played half an hour in the second half with one more man because Monaco saw a red card. Again, 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, the goalkeeper, was great again on the weekend. Like with Madrid, also producing a string of some very good save at the end of the match to keep the team on a run of 5 games without losing. Jonathan David played the full 90 minutes with Monaco. I was surprised with that. His Lille goal scoring in Ligue 1 with 5, actually surpassing his expected goals of 3.24. They are arriving to this match day 3 the way they imagine or they hope, with 3 points. That seemed not possible after the defeat against Sporting Lisbon, but yes, they make that historic win against Real Madrid. So far, it's a very good season, I would say, for them. They are 6 points behind Monaco and PSG in Ligue 1. They have the third expected goals in the French league. They have accumulated the third number of shots so far, 2. They are second in terms of possessions in Ligue 1. That is why they are the only team behind PSG and Olympique Marseille on successful passes. Yes, Atletico should provide as well a different challenge that even they had on the weekend with Monaco. I would like to hear what's Alvaro's view, but for me, it's super frustrating every time I'm seeing Atletico because 𝐿𝐭𝐴's slowness. He's playing in a position when the 6 should dictate the tempo of the team, and because he's slow, the team becomes also super slow. And then I believe 𝐿𝐭𝐴 is not the only player in which you will point the finger at Cholo Simeone. I don't know how much makes sense yesterday to play Galán as a third center back. I think the most positive will be that Solo scored a brace. Julian as well assisted him on one, and that should be a positive note. I would like to see more often, maybe Simeone giving them 5, 6, or 7 games in a row. I mean, Griezmann behind Solo and Julian Álvarez. I'm not saying that Lille here is going to take the 3 points from Madrid because Atletico is not in a very good form, but I believe that Atletico will have to dig deep. So my take here is first half draw, odds of 2.4.
We can say already, Alvaro, after 2 months in this season, that this Atlético Madrid is not working properly. They gave Simeone so many good players, but still they are not shining. The best name, of course, Julian Álvarez, but we can mention some others. I'm a bit disappointed by Atlético de Madrid so far this season.
Well, and the worst thing for them happened in the Champions League. I think that we can say that. I know that probably they won't care too much about where they finish the league phase as long as they qualify, and preferably qualify without having to, having to suffer too much. But the truth is that what happened against Benfica was very concerning. Also, Atletico this season, they could have lost to Real Madrid. At Bilbao, they were very lucky. Against Celta, I believe that they were lucky too. Against Leganés in the weekend, I think they were rigid in the first half, a little bit slow, as Leo says. 𝐿𝐭𝐴 is not as mobile as he was before. He's a footballer that has never been very pacey. But on the other hand, I remember an interview with Profe Ortega at the end of last season, that was May or June 2024, and he said that he's one of the few players in La Liga, all together with Yannick Carrasco. He singled out these 2 guys who can run easily 16 or 17 kilometers in a game if the game has extra time. So 𝐿𝐭𝐴 has been more like a diesel engine than a fast footballer all his career. But I agree. I think that he doesn't dictate the game that much. And if he played for a better side than Atletico de Madrid, probably he would have been deployed to the bench for long periods. But Atletico cannot use that privilege because they don't have so many good midfielders. And the likes of Kondogbia, Thomas Partey, Thiago, or Gavi, for example, I'm talking about Gavi, the player that won the league with them in 2014, they were doing that job that is demanded from 𝐿𝐭𝐴 very well. I don't think 𝐿𝐭𝐴 can do it that well, that positioning which you have to dictate and at the same time you have to steal the ball and create fast turnovers. I don't think 𝐿𝐭𝐴 is made for that. Maybe Barrios can be the footballer who can take over some creative responsibility from 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐵's shoulders. I think that Barrios is very good. He won the Olympic Games with Spain. And every time I see him, I think that he's the best passer Atlético de Madrid has. But yeah, what happened last weekend, beating Leganés, we have to take into consideration that a few Argentinian players had to travel. Then Julián and Rodrigo de Paul came on the second half and they changed the game completely. And maybe what we saw against Leganés can be a little bit of a hint for the rest of the season. Atlético is more comfortable playing on the break. And in fact, two of the goals that Atlético created in the weekend came after a very good pressure from Giuliano Simeone in one of the goals and Julián Álvarez in another of the goals. So this is the good thing about Atlético, that if they can convince and persuade the fans that they won't take the initiative in the games and they will try to provoke the opponent's mistake and everything is fine with that, I think that Atlético will be suited for this kind of game. But yeah, for this game against Lille, look, it's dangerous. I think that this game is dangerous. Lille against Real Madrid, they probably enjoyed their best ever European night without Angel Gomes, by the way, the international player from England, who wasn't tough. He wasn't tough in the previous game. And without him, who is a terrific player in between the lines and have pockets and all that, they managed to beat Real Madrid and they were good against them. But, you know, Atlético playing at home and all that, I don't know if they are not going to win, but I could see a scenario in which maybe they concede first and they have to win the game or they have to go for the draw in the second half. So Atlético to win the second half is something that has happened this season quite a lot. 186, I kind of like it. Otherwise, Atlético to win 150, okay, maybe that's all right. I mean, I take into consideration how good Lille has been, but after losing against Benfica, Atlético is going to be overcharged and overpowered in order not to miss more points.
I love the under 21 Portuguese right back from Lille also, Thiago Santos. He played great against Real Madrid in that game. And even Zagreb was great, very dangerous in that game against Real Madrid. Let's see if they can put some pressure on Atlético Madrid. I think it's not going to be easy for the colchoneros. Next game, the best game we have on Wednesday, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. Beautiful odds for all the outcomes. Barca to win 2.4, slightly favorite Bayern Munich. 2.95. Of course, we have to check the head-to-head between these two teams. Last 6 meetings in the Champions League, last 6 were wins for Bayern Munich. A usual suspect when it comes to these games, but I guess, Alvaro, of course, we have to highlight the names of Flick, of Lewandowski, former Bayern employees, now with Barcelona, and the great level shown by Barcelona, one of the best teams in Europe so far. They are absolutely on fire, as we saw against Sevilla on Sunday.
With some unsung heroes, like, for example, Íñigo Martínez, Jules Koundé, who is enjoying. Jules Koundé has never played better for Barcelona. I think that Marc Casadó and Rafinha, those four that I mentioned, are the unsung heroes of Barcelona. They have offered consistent performances over the last 2 months in a very delicate situation for the club. I mean, what Barcelona has done in the last 2 months, missing so many players, is very impressive. With a new manager who never complains about anything. He just goes out and plays. And I know that Bayern knows Hansi Flick very well, and Bayern probably will have jotted down on a notebook a few things that Barcelona can suffer from. And one of them is the high line they play with. Against Sevilla, for example, Sevilla had a couple of really good chances capitalizing on Barcelona's high line, especially in the second half of the game. And 𝐿𝐿 was one that managed to score. Just using that, with Barcelona pressing beyond the halfway line and Sevilla sending long balls. But by then, Barcelona had already won the game because Barcelona dominate, steal the ball quickly, they press a lot, physically they are very strong, and little by little they are recovering players. I mean, Fermín is back, Frenkie de Jong is back, even though he didn't play a single minute against Sevilla. Dani Olmo will probably feature in this game a little bit, at least in the second half. 𝗀𝐵 played after 348 days in the sidelines. So maybe this game comes a little bit too early for the players who are just recovered from injuries, but at least we know that Barcelona by November will have a little bit of abundance, depth in the squad to play football, which is very important because basically they've been using, or Flick has been using the same 12 or 13 players for 2 months now. Let's see who the goalkeeper of Barcelona is for this game, by the way. Who knows, maybe the Polish 𝗀𝐿 could start this game. I'm not too sure about that, but let's see, that could happen. And I'm pretty sure that Bayern will try to use Harry Kane as the quarterback just to launch the counterattacks because the speedy wingers of Bayern can really capitalize on Barcelona. But I think that goals will happen in this game. And I know that going to both teams to score, which pays around 155, is not a great value. Maybe it's more of a safe bet. But I like, for example, Barcelona to score over 1.5 goals in this game, 167. This doesn't mean that they are going to win it, but they will have a good chance of winning it if they score over 1.5 goals. Otherwise, draw no bet for Barcelona, 175. This time I'm going to back them. And I know that Bayern has beaten Barcelona heavily over the last decade. The last time Barcelona beat Bayern, I believe it was that day that Messi just destroyed the 𝐬𝐵𝗿𝗏𝗀𝐻 waist. Yeah, that was the last time. That was the last time because then, Barcelona has suffered every type of defeats, even recently with Xavi as a manager. But this time I believe that the vibe is slightly different and Barcelona will play with the same system. I don't think that Hansi Flick is going to change a bit because if you change when you play in the big games and you forget about your highline and all that, you are sending a very negative message to your footballers. The message that says, I believe in my system, but only every now and then. Not always. I think Barcelona will keep their style. I believe that the draw no bet for Barcelona can be a good one here, 175.
To be honest, as Alvaro is going or is placing confidence on Barcelona, I still believe, although they are a joy to watch at the moment. Yesterday was a great 90 minutes of football to watch them as a neutral, winning already 9 games in the league out of 10. My feeling is that they are still a work in progress. That highlight that Alvaro highlighted could prove to be something that they're going to suffer against a team that can run to the space very well with lots of players like 𝐜𝐭𝐚𝐲, who's having as well a great first season in Munich, with Jamal Musiala, with 𝗀𝗏𝗏, having Thomas Müller, Coman, and also Mathys Tel to come off from the bench. So that's why I believe this is still a work in progress, these Barcelonas with Hansi Flick. I had in my notes highlighted how well he's doing Íñigo Martínez on the build-up for Barcelona. I think the partnership with 𝗀𝗵𝐿 is showing signs of being something very, very good for Barca. I don't know if by the time Ronald Araujo returns at some point this will change for Flick. Talking about also players returning, to see 𝗀𝗵𝗏 getting some minutes yesterday, I think was another thing to take, another positive to take for Barcelona. But well, this Bayern comes with a Harry Kane at the back of a hat trick, which was a real hat trick in terms of the way Germans see a hat trick, which is different as the way we see a hat trick in the rest of the world. Because for us, and I believe for everyone else, a hat trick is anyone who scores 3 goals. But in the Bundesliga, it's not like that. In the Bundesliga, for a hat trick to be a hat trick, there are certain rules. The 3 goals must be scored in the same half. Then your goals need to be uninterrupted by any other goal scorer. So if I score 2, then Alvaro scores 1, and I score another one, that is not a hat trick in German football. Based on these rules, Harry Kane scored a flawless hat trick. He has 45 goals in 43 games in the Bundesliga. Before the Stuttgart game, he was on a run of 4 games without scoring for club and country. Against Aston Villa, he was denied twice by Emi Martinez, and even Bayern Munich as a whole, as a team, did not have the match I was expecting from them. But because of this high line of Barcelona, and because I believe as much as they are doing great, they are still a work in progress, I will be a little bit more cautious with them in this chance. That's why I'm taking or pointing to a double chance for Bayern Munich odds are not massive, are not amazing, but not bad also. Double chance, Bayern Munich, 1.63.
It's been years and years and years without a great win for Barcelona in Europe. Let's see if they can defeat Bayern Munich at home, their black beast, and break this really negative head-to-head against the German side. Well, next game is Benfica. Feyenoord, Benfica third in Portugal, but 6 consecutive wins in all competitions. As we said before, they destroyed Atlético de Madrid 4-0. They also beat Red Star in Belgrade, so their numbers are very good in the Champions League. Be careful, because after this game they have Bayern and Monaco, so I guess they think they should beat Feyenoord. Leo, Feyenoord beat Girona, but it was a crazy game. It could have gone either way, actually.
Yeah, and this is a game which they should secure, because you mentioned they still have to face, because 6 out of 6, amazing, and even more after they trashed Atlético Madrid in Matchday 2, and they could have been 5, 6, or 7 goals on that night. But then, yes, they're going to have to face Barcelona at home, Juventus away, Bayern Munich away, and Monaco away. So I believe if they Benfica manages 4 points between Feyenoord on Wednesday and then Bologna, we're going to have Benfica at least securing playoff spot in this new format of the Champions League. With Atletico, as I said, they were fantastic. They immediately pressed them high and forced Simeone's team into mistakes. The 2 number 8s, 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 and Frederick, and the 2 wingers, Ángel Di María and 𝐻𝐿𝐴 were especially good. Actually, 3 of them scoring on the game. The first Benfica goal was mainly created by Frederick vision, leaving 𝐻𝐿𝐴 on a 1v1 against Oblak. I believe that the introduction of 𝐻𝐿𝐴 is proven so good for them, because he's showing talent and personality, which we saw in Galatasaray. But spoke about him a few times. He has him play more often than me, and I think this creates a different weapon for them, because we were usually, Benfica was relying last season mostly on what could Di María do on the flank. Now they can rely on what could Di María do, and also on 𝐻𝐿𝐴. This creates an attacking side which can inflict pain in 3 ways, because the wingers themselves, they can cut inside from the flanks. The wingers can serve as well. Pavlidis, who is also active as a reference in between center backs, and they can rely on their wingers as well on the counter attack. And they have done that a lot in the second half against Atlético de Madrid on the counter. Feyenoord, for me, was a little bit lucky to find the third goal against Girona almost straight away after Donny van de Beek made it 2-2. But a win which nevertheless ended the 22 years wait for an away win in the Champions League. They're in a good run as well, because they have won 4 of the last 5 matches in all competitions, scoring 10 goals in the last 3 matches, 5 of them anyway this last weekend against Go Ahead Eagles. I think they're in a similar position to Lille. I think the math for Feyenoord before the start of the season was to arrive to this match day 3 with 3 points, and they have done that. But for me, Benfica favorites here. I will go Asian handicap -1 Benfica, odds of 2.
And perhaps also we can add into the mix goals. Alvaro, we have to go for over 3 goals. Is 2.
Yeah, that could make sense as well. Both are good scoring sides, and a combination of Benfica winning, because I am also on board with Leo, Benfica winning, and over 2.5 goals in this game can be one of those good mini ACCAs that we can create in this match day. But yeah, Benfica has been quite solid at home this season. They have played 5 games and they have collected 5 wins. The addition of 𝐻𝐿𝐴 is giving Benfica the possibility of pressing with more aggressiveness. I believe that the major switch that Benfica has done this season has been swapping or changing, Rafa Silva, a footballer who was established at Benfica, very good scorer as well from the position of midfield. He was always scoring about 10 or 11 goals per season, for another player like 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐵𝐿, who may not be maybe so good when he runs with the ball, but on the other hand, he compensates that lack or that gap that Rafa Silva left there with a very, very good pressing skill. In that sense, he is one of the aggressive footballers that Benfica can benefit from because he sets the tone for the team. And Benfica last season, they were soft and they were bad and they had a tendency to melt off at home. In the Champions League, they lost against Real Sociedad, against Salzburg, and against Inter at home. It was a very bad Champions League campaign for Benfica, but this season is different. And they beat the win against Atlético Madrid. I think that it was one of those that gave them a lot of confidence to look ahead at the Champions League with a positive approach. Then Feyenoord, yes, they beat Girona. But Girona scored 2 own goals. Let's don't forget about that. They were catastrophic in defense. And before beating Girona in the Champions League away, they had suffered 10 straight losses away in the Champions League. Feyenoord, when they travel in the Champions League, and this is something that we can see over the last decade, they tend to crumble and they tend to lose. On top of that, Santiago Jimenez is not ready for this game. So I'm going to go for Benfica to win, plain and simple, 161. Leo pointed at the Asian handicap -1 as a possibility. I also like it. But yeah, I could stay with Benfica to win, 161.
All right, another great game, RB Leipzig, Liverpool. Leipzig with 0 points, very unlucky. Last minute defeats against Atlético Madrid and Juventus at home, playing against 10 men. They lost that game, but in the Bundesliga, they are doing great. Level on points with Bayern, 2 away wins against Mainz and Heidenheim. We know that they are a really good team, but they are facing Liverpool, one of the best teams in Europe so far, both in the Champions League, 6 points between Bologna and Milan, and also in the Premier League, as we saw. Alvaro, in the win against Chelsea, not brilliant, but they did the job with another injury. That's the negative part of Diogo Jota.
Yeah, luckily for them, they can replace Diogo Jota. I think that it will be more difficult to replace someone like Mohamed Salah, whose scoring numbers in the Premier League, by the way, they are pretty similar to Thierry Henry's, if not identical. So, I think Liverpool are doing very well this season, really. They beat Chelsea, who are in the level, in my opinion, of AC Milan right now. So Liverpool, when they had to face tough opposition, but maybe still second-tier opposition like Chelsea or Milan, they have done the job. Now we'll see if they can beat the likes of Arsenal coming up soon. But they are favorite in this game, in my opinion. I know that Leipzig are having a good season so far, but Liverpool is a team with no obvious weaknesses. And this is something that we have to highlight. Last season, I think that they struggled to adapt to the new midfielders, and still by this point last season, they weren't too sure about who should be playing as a holding midfielder, and the team was good because Liverpool last season were good, but in my opinion, they were getting many results just because they had a lot of quality. Whereas this season, I think that the quality plus a very good collective performance is taking Liverpool to those heights. I mean, they are very good in the Champions League, they got the points, and they are topping the Premier League. But yeah, as I said before, they don't have any obvious weakness, and they are playing against Leipzig. Leipzig this season, again, they are having a good season. That's unquestionable. I mean, they are second in the Bundesliga. They are leveled on points with Bayern. They conceded only 2 in the league. But then in the Champions League, it's a different story. I mean, Juve, for example, got the better of them, and maybe they shouldn't, considering that Leipzig played with one more man against 𝐬𝐵𝐿𝐴. But, Leipzig is going to present a difficult challenge for Liverpool. Also in the Bundesliga, they are the best team when it comes to duels won, something that right now or these days gets very appreciated by coaches. Strangely, the player of Leipzig who wins more duels is Xavi Simons. I would have said that it was someone else, but no, it's Xavi Simons. And Liverpool will probably have to face a lot of one-to-one man marking, plenty of second balls that they will have to fight for and all that. But at the end of the day, they got more quality. And yes, I know that Benjamin Sesko, for example, has had a terrific start of the season. But I'm going to back Liverpool here. Liverpool to win, 191. I've been very, very surprised by them. I think that the transition to Arne Slot has been very good.
Yeah.
And they've won all 5 away games, Leo, this season.
Yes, to be honest, that transition that Alvaro is pointing has been so smooth and amazing for them. There's no manager in Liverpool history that have won 10 out of 11 games in all competitions in the first few months of being in charge. Maybe yes, and I agree with you, Edu. You mentioned at the beginning they weren't brilliant, but they have done the job. Something negative maybe from yesterday's game is like many times Chelsea was able to filter a pass on that first line of pressing from Liverpool, who without the ball was on a 4-2-4. So basically every time Chelsea was filtering a pass to the midfield, then it was 3 against 2. And if it was a different team who could have set up 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 in better ways or have a different striker, maybe Liverpool would have been in trouble. And here we have like a Leipzig who, if they are able to find Xavi Simons on the half turn, then with the speed of 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐽 and 𝐶𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐽, Liverpool could be in some kind of trouble, although I believe yes, they are favorites here. Alvaro point out the defensive display of Leipzig so far in the Bundesliga, at least because they are different of how they are doing in the Champions League. Only 2 goals conceded, is level with Juventus in terms of like top 5 European leagues. But Liverpool is also doing very well defensively, because they have managed only to concede 3 times so far in the Premier League. Maybe Leipzig could take some courage or hope in the fact that 3 of their 4 wins against English teams in European competition have come at home. But more than that, I would say like there is a chance that Nottingham Forest may have shown Leipzig how to do it against Liverpool in Anfield, in the only game that Liverpool lost so far this season under Arne Slot. Forest used a low block, and when Liverpool tended to overcommit players going forward, they were a little bit vulnerable in the counter-attack. So Leipzig can use the speed of 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐧𝐽, the clinical 𝐶𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐧𝐽 in space, to find them in space behind. Between them, 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐧𝐽 and 𝐶𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐧𝐽, 11 goals so far in all competitions. So very likely we're gonna see Ibrahima Konaté maybe dealing with 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐧𝐽, as was the case many times last season when, for example, Liverpool was facing Arsenal, and the one facing the fastest player, attacking player on the opposition side was always Konaté, in that case against Martinelli or Trossard. The good note yesterday for Liverpool as well is that they rested Luis Diaz. He played only 15 minutes. They rested Alexis McAllister, who played as well only 10 minutes. The good news is that Curtis Jones was amazing man of the match yesterday against Chelsea, and also scoring. I'm expecting a little bit more, waiting more from Szoboszlai. We will see if he can deliver that now on Wednesday. Clear for me that Liverpool are the favorites here. For me, the odds on them to win are good, so I'm taking that. Liverpool to win 1.9.
It looks like you both like this new Liverpool. Both teams to score is 1.5, since Leipzig also, they have a lot of firepower, and they show it in this Champions League. Very unlucky so far with the results. After this, they have Celtic and Inter. So suddenly their Champions League campaign looks very bad for Leipzig if they lose again against Liverpool. Next game, Man City, Sparta Prague. We saw City suffering a lot against Wolves with that late goal scored by Stones, controversial one. We expected them to beat them heavily, but it didn't happen, Leo, and I guess we expect them to beat heavily this Sparta Prague. Surprisingly, so far, their Champions League campaign with the draw in Stuttgart that we didn't expect, and also they beat comfortably Salzburg at home.
Yes, absolutely. To arrive to the Etihad with 4 points is very good for them. And Manchester City is not the battle for Sparta Prague. I think their mission, I believe, is not to do a Dinamo Zagreb on Matchday 1. They travel with that in mind. City yesterday had to fight again a lot. Sean Stone's goal came in the 95th minute of the match. One day, someone will have to explain what happened on the 9th of April 2024, that night in Madrid, in the Santiago Bernabeu, when 𝐿𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐧𝐽 scored his first goal for Manchester City, and he's done it with his right. And he's done it with his right foot. And after that, look, because I have it on the note, against Luton, he scored with the right foot. Nottingham Forest, right foot. Fulham, right foot. And yesterday, another screamer, maybe the best of the lot he has scored so far. And again, with his right foot. But overall, I believe
Leo,
was below.
I also believe that his defending has improved a lot, because I thought always that Guardiola was a little bit naive. And yesterday he managed to stop a Wolverhampton striker. I think it was 𝐬𝐭𝐴 who his run to goal. Was it 𝐬𝐭𝐴? He got a one-on-one with Ederson, and he managed to unsettle him a little bit slightly before he took the shot. He acted like a very, very composed and experienced defender as well. The improvement of 𝐬𝐭𝐴 Guardiola probably is one of the biggest improvements from a Manchester City footballer over the last year. No doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if it was down to at the time when 𝐻𝐿𝐴 got injured, and that gave Guardiola, he needed to look for someone to play that role at the left back, and he chose Bardiol. But this one is down to him, to be honest. I did not expect this level of Bardiol and doing so well defensively, and also, as we are seeing, in attacking when he needs to attack as well. But yesterday, I wasn't very happy with what I seen from Manchester City. Yes, at the end of the day, they can always manage to do something to win the games, but Kovacic, Gundogan are not being yet dominant partnership in midfield. Gundogan is particularly erratic so far, which is rare on him. Jeremy Doku yesterday, I think, thrown away another chance, another match in which it's not possible to find any contribution from him. And also, if you may find that he has one assist on yesterday, let me tell everyone that it does not count, because he just passed the ball to Bardiol. He did nothing else. Then it's all done to Bardiol. So his input on Bardiol's goal is 0 or closer to 0, even though he just passed the ball to him. Haaland wasn't sharp neither yesterday in the Molineux, but we know how is this. Now next game, in this case, Sparta Prague, he goes out and he scored a hat-trick for sure. For me, it's Manchester City Asian handicap -3, odds of 2.3.
Alvaro, how do you see this one?
No, we have to say that this is the game that puts together the team with more possession in the Champions League, unsurprisingly Manchester City, with the team with less possession in the Champions League, which is Sparta Prague. So expect both teams to exaggerate those stats even more so in this game, with Manchester City probably keeping the ball, dominating the game. And if they score fast, I think they are going to win by a heavy scoreline. It's going to be like this. But look, some of the odds that came to my mind before checking them were, for example, Manchester City to win 2-0, because in the Champions League, they have done it. They kept 2 clean sheets already, but that pays only 153. And, anyone can have an accident and slip a goal and win 4-1, for example. So maybe win 2-0 wouldn't be for me after checking the odds. Before checking the odds, I was like, yeah, this must be where the money is to be made. Not really. For example, I like Haaland to score 2 goals or more, because he has had a scoring drought for Manchester City to his own standards, all right? But his Norway 10 days ago, he was prolific, so he hasn't forgotten scoring at all. He's not going through a crisis. So Haaland to score 2 goals or more, if Pep Guardiola happens to keep him on the pitch for over 60 minutes, it's a possibility. It pays a lot, 288. Otherwise, I like Manchester City to win both halves, 173. And I take a little bit with what Leo was saying. I'm not particularly attracted to this Manchester City at this point in time. I think that Manchester City has become a little bit more conservative as the years went by. Don't ask me why, but to start with, they tend to play with 4 or 5 centre-backs, and that makes the team shape and the team ball movement different, but they are still very solid, and they are unbeaten in 25 Champions League games. Good sides, the top sides in Europe, they tend to get these unbeaten runs. 25 Champions League games. I don't see them sleeping it here. So they are going to win it, I do believe. And I will say that, maybe then to win both halves, 173 is the interesting one. Nothing to take away from Sparta Prague, though. They've got 4 points. They've got a draw against Leipzig and a very impressive win against Salzburg. But as I said before, going to the Etihad right now is one of the ultimate challenges in European football. So yeah, Manchester City to win both halves, 173.
All right, let's pedigree in the next game. Salzburg, Dinamo Zagreb. Very disappointing this Salzburg. Fourth in Austria and lost 4-0 at home against Brest, 3-0 away against Sparta Prague. Dinamo Zagreb, at least they were able to draw with Monaco. They took the lead 2-0 after this 9-2. In Munich, Alvaro, I wouldn't take the odds for Salzburg, that's for sure, 1.8.
No, I mean, if anything, you have to back Dinamo Zagreb perhaps with a positive handicap. That could be interesting as well. Let's not forget that they crumbled, as you said, against Bayern. 9-2 was very difficult to take. Then a 2-2 draw against Monaco. Even Monaco, they weren't as good in this game than they were against Barcelona, that's for sure. But, Nenad Bjelica was very complimentary of his players after, getting this draw against Monaco. Then Salzburg, they are enjoying their worst ever start in the Champions League. I mean, in the group stage, because they lost 2 successive games. And this is a continuation of the bad run they had in the Champions League last year, in my opinion. For example, I remember then just sleeping results against Real Sociedad at home and all that. Salzburg is not a winning guarantee right now. And the odds for them to win are ridiculously low. So I'm going to back Dinamo Zagreb with a positive +1 Asian handicap. It pays 164. Let's see what happens. Otherwise, this game for me is going to be a pass, and I'm going to prove that because I'm not going to pay attention to this at all for my safe bet or for my ACCA. But anyway, maybe a +1 Asian handicap for the Croatians can be good.
Well, it's the worst game on Wednesday, Leo, and the worst Salzburg in years as well.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I'm reading that for Salzburg is now or never to get a chance to get into the playoff. And I would say it's already never for him, because they needed to think that up to match day 4, that was the time when they could get some points. But they were trashed by Sparta on match day 1, then by Brest at home. Now Dinamo Zagreb is coming, and then it's Feyenoord. But from then they have Leverkusen, PSG, Real Madrid, and Atlético Madrid. So even if they manage to win on Wednesday, which I do not believe is going to happen, and then away to Feyenoord, the chances for those 6 points to be enough will be very slim, unless they beat the odds and take something from those last 4 fixtures. In the domestic front, they have 16 points. They are 6 behind the leaders, Sturm Graz, although, okay, with 2 games in hand, Salzburg. But Sturm Graz at least can point to the fact that they feel better against Brest because they lost 2-1 only. And Salzburg was trashed 4-0. They can point as well to the fact that Sturm Graz also trashed Salzburg in the league a few weeks ago. 5-0, 2 weeks ago that happened. And for Dinamo, match day 2 was a turn for redemption after what happened on match day 1 with Bayern. If they are as competitive as they were against Monaco, which, yeah, it was shameful for them, they threw away a 2-goal lead, and Monaco managed to equalize in the 90th minute, I believe. If they are as competitive as they were against Monaco, they are someone to trust. That's why I will go double chance Dinamo Zagreb, healthy odds, 2.1.
And last game is in Switzerland. Young boys, Inter Milan, very reliable this Inter Milan, apart from the derby, but they've been doing good things in Europe. Beat 4-0 Red Star, drew in Manchester. They beat in good fashion Leo, Roma. They were better, they created more chances, and they won at the Olimpico. The problem, as always, are the odds. The bookies know it. With young boys, 0 goals scored, 8 goals conceded is only 1.4 for the Nerazzurri.
Yes, and although young boys won on the weekend, they are doing very badly as well, even on the Swiss league. Only the bottom of the table in the Swiss league have conceded more than the young boys. Yesterday was a good win, absolutely, for Inter in the Olímpico, 0-1 against Roma. A goal from Lautaro Martinez. They are now second in the table with 17 points, 2 behind the leaders Napoli. They have won the last 4 matches in all competitions, and we know what happens when Inter manages to find a good run of wins. They welcomed back last night 𝐻𝐿𝐴 from a muscular injury, but they lost 𝐵𝐿𝐴, who was forced out with a left-side issue. Shortly afterwards as well, they lost Francesco Acerbi with similar muscular problems. But despite these setbacks, Inter created chances, especially with Thuram and Mkhitaryan. But it's the injury issues that worries Inzaghi, as he recognized after the match, because also they have Asllani and Zielinski with problem. He mentioned also the away form of his team. He said that in San Siro they have a good record, but away from San Siro they are missing something. That's on Inzaghi's view. But whatever they are missing, they seem to have found it lately, because last night was the second consecutive away win in the Serie A for Inter. And in the Champions League, they travel to the Etihad and they come back with a good draw, and also performing well on the night. Inter to get the 3 points, 1.4 is low, so I will go Inter to win 2-0, which takes the odds up to 2.5.
Alvaro?
Yeah, me too. Inter to win 2-0, I really like it. I think that is terrific, because Inter has recorded 2 clean sheets in the Champions League so far. Young Boys hasn't scored yet in the Champions League. They lost 3-0 to Aston Villa and then 5-0 to Barcelona. I mean, Young Boys is one of the worst sides that I've seen playing at Barcelona this season, if not the worst. So yeah, I am totally aware of Inter's injuries. I read in Sky Italia right now that Çalhanoğlu could be ready for this game, but is it worth risking the Turkish footballer? I mean, I think that the Inter has enough to beat Young Boys. It's true that all the injuries seem to be in the midfield department with Zielinski, Asllani, Çalhanoğlu, but still, this game is totally doable for Inter Milan. Let's don't forget their performances in the Champions League so far. They were better than Manchester City during spells of the game, and they are one of the best sides in Europe. I mean, for me, Inter is one of the teams with a more recognizable style. It's true that they are missing perhaps like someone very creative who can carry the ball. Imagine if they had a player like Jamal Musiala, for example, or Lamine Yamal, a player who could dribble, but they play as a team. The structure is very good. They have a lot of solidarity between each other. All the players help each other. They never lose the plot. They rarely leave any gap. And even this weekend, fine, Simone Inzaghi wants more from their players on the road, but they beat Roma at the end of the day. These are results that you grind out, winning 1-0, and you forget about the game, and you do what you have to do. So Inter to win 140, fine. Asian handicap -1 for Inter, I will be more happy to take that one, 162. Otherwise, Inter to win 2-0, 250. But, since Leo has spotted that one, I would like to flag the Asian handicap -1 for Inter, because I think that is pretty decent, 162.
Very tough schedule for Inter in the Champions League after this game. Arsenal, RB Leipzig, and Leverkusen away. So it would be good for them to take the 3 points. At this point, before we finish our video, I want to remind you that we have an open account in Discord. You can join and discuss with us in Discord. And also remember that we have opened our tipster competitions yearly, monthly, and now also the Premier League and the NFL. So you can register for free and win cash prizes. Now, we are coming back from a very successful weekend with your ACCAs, guys. International ACCA came in, and also Alvaro's ACCA in this case, also League and ACCA. So well done. Let's try another one. Alvaro, your safe bet?
My safe bet is Inter to win 140.
Leo?
Yes, mine is goals over 2.5 in Manchester City, Slavia Prague, 1.35.
ACCA, Leo?
ACCA, Atalanta to win, Bayern Leverkusen to win, goals over 2.5 in Manchester City, Slavia Prague, and Inter to win. These 4 leaves me with an ACCA of 4.19.
Okay, Álvaro, acá.
Yeah, this time I'm going for the full-time results. So it will be Atalanta to win, Liverpool to win, Inter to win. Altogether 395.
Big favorites on Wednesday evening in Europe and a lot of money, hopefully goals also to be seen. Thanks, Álvaro. Thanks, Leo. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.